Hello, grapple fans. Oh, so just a casual flex going on over there. Nice. Welcome back to another weekly episode of A Fistful of Collars, your favorite jiu-jitsu podcast. Myself, Howell Teague, Reed Connell, and Chase Smith, full of energy, all ready to talk about grappling and jiu-jitsu stories from around the world.
Let's do it.
How are we?
Jiu-jitsu.
That's what we do. In case you weren't sure, jiu-jitsu.
That's how I kind of feel about those shirts that say jiu-jitsu on it. It's like you're just saying your sport, like football.
That's how we should start the podcast. We should just be like, hello, jiu-jitsu. Commence.
Commence. Begin. Yeah. That is a good point, actually. How many jiu-jitsu shirts do you think you own?
Way too many.
I do have a few of those. In
I have
fact,
a ton.
I'm wearing one right now, but it's really sweet. So
I'm wearing one too. You're not wearing one?
It's
It's kind of a
is
jiu-jitsu
that Bull
shirt.
Young on there?
Yeah, this is.
What's that name? Half sumo?
Yeah, I think this is a half sumo shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, half sumo shirt. Yeah, so
like
like New
that.
York guys. I guess they're affiliated with grappling, so.
Yeah, they put some grappling stuff.
Oh, they're the guys at the store, right? The,
Yeah, the store in New York. Mhm.
streetwear.
I mean,
So
this
fightwear
shirt is
stuff,
just like
yeah.
too badass not to grab, right?
It is cool.
I personally, I try not to actually buy clothes anymore. I just hope that people will give me free T-shirts, and
Yeah.
you know, if that means wearing a jiu-jitsu shirt, then that's the price I'll pay.
I do have a few tournament shirts lying around and FloGrappling shirts.
I can only have so many Pans shirts, you know, like 2016 Pans, 2017 Pans, they all look the same.
I
so.
still wear my 2016 Pans T-shirt.
Yeah.
It's one of the best IBJJF tournament T-shirts
Well,
they ever made.
they're all black. They need to do some other colors. 'cause
I
have so many
love the
black.
IBJJF staff shirts. They're always a cool color, like
Yeah.
blue or green or something.
teal sometimes,
Yeah.
like a brown, light brown. Yeah.
Gotta steal one.
I know, because we always get the black ones. I have like 1,000 black T-shirts. So
Black shirts, black coffee.
black metal.
I was going to cross out the black metal thing, and I was going to put black belt.
I ordered my
True.
Insane Clown Posse mug before.
Nice.
It's coming.
Your
You're
Violent
really
J.
gonna rock the ICP mug on the podcast.
I've been trying to get it here, but they're back ordered. So,
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
yeah,
popular.
such high
Flying
demand,
off the
yeah.
shelves.
well, people break them. You know, they wake up and they slam it. So they're
I think
running out.
actually, if I saw you wearing holding an ICP mug, I'd slap it out your
Yeah,
hand.
yeah.
See,
That's
gotta-
how they get broken.
Exactly.
They got to make an unbreakable ICP mug.
Well, it's the unbreakable ICP spirit that really matters.
True.
So
True. They got to somehow infuse that spirit into the coffee mugs.
Infuse that spirit into the podcast, I'd say.
Have you seen that movie American Juggalo? I think it's called.
I've actually
have
seen
you
parts
seen
of
it?
it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a great movie. It's great.
I've seen some stuff from like the Juggalo gatherings, and I
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
say that looks like a wild
Oh
scene.
my god.
I'm so glad we're talking about this.
Have you seen the Workaholics episode where they go to?
No.
Oh
I
my
love
god, it's an
Workaholics.
incredible episode where they go to the gathering. It's a great
Workaholics
episode.
is now on Amazon Prime, by the way, or I just noticed it. So
Gotcha.
catch up on that stuff, guys.
Yeah, Workaholics is awesome.
Anyway,
Yep. A little different start to the podcast here.
indeed. Title of this podcast this week is Tales from the Road. Tales from the Road.
Plenty of those.
We do spend quite a lot of time traveling, right? I'd say we'd spend a lot of time traveling. I remember there was 2 years running where I flew way over 100,000 miles a year. I actually calculated it 1 year. If I calculated all the different airlines together, 1 year I did nearly 140,000 air miles in 1 year. That was kind of insane. That was a busy one.
Because you're always coming from Brazil, right?
I
You're
was,
living in Brazil.
exactly.
You come from South America to.
Every trip was like a
Yeah.
10,000 mile round trip or something. But this year has actually been, last year and a half since I've been in the States has been a lot different. But that's not to say that we don't travel a lot, because we do, right? Usually there's like at least one big content trip or event per month. And we're lucky that we can kind of take turns and we can do that and stuff. But Reed, you seem to have been the guy who's been traveling more than any of us lately, and just got back from another trip. Where were you?
Yeah, right. We're all cycling on these different trips and everything. So, but yeah, I've just been lucky. Got to go to some cool ADCC camps, man.
Oh,
It's time. It's coming.
Right? Everybody's gearing up. I think we're just about 8 weeks away from ADCC. So I've just been trying to go to those big camps. I just got back from San Diego, which is of course a hub of grappling. I was out there visiting Andre Galvao, Atos, doing some pre-event hype, for what's undoubtedly going to be the biggest super fight in jiu-jitsu in ADCC history.
Super fight?
Yeah.
Andre Galvao?
Andre Galvao versus
He's
Felipe
competing?
Pena.
Oh.
It's gonna be crazy.
Look it up, bro.
Hadn't
Yeah,
heard.
get into it. But yeah, no, awesome. Always great to go see these guys training, and of course Andre's training hard, and all those guys
Already?
training hard. Yeah, they're doing a 12-week camp.
Wow.
12 weeks. You know, of course, obviously they're not going all out all 12 weeks. You know, it was clear they're kind of ramping things up as they go. It's about, you know, kind of around the midweek. Josh has Kasai next week, right? Or a couple weeks from now. So
yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks tomorrow.
Yeah, 2 weeks. So they're about halfway through the camp, or a little bit almost halfway, and they were training for sure. They're getting ready.
I saw you shooting. It looked like a cool promo video, some cool lighting and stuff. What was that about?
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, like I said, this is the biggest super fight, so we're just trying to get as much as we can. You know, had some lights set up with Andre and had him do some things facing off and you know, just looking like a badass in camera. That guy is huge.
Yeah.
He's huge, man.
It's not hard to make him look like a badass.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that was fun. Yeah, a lot of fun. We're going to be going down and visiting Felipe and kind of doing the same thing with him. So yeah.
Man, this
really
is
excited
awesome.
about that super fight. Really excited about it.
Yeah, and I think this is potentially one of the biggest ADCC super fights they've ever had, right? We've ever had, and I think that, you know, we really wouldn't be doing our jobs properly if we didn't put everything into promoting this fight. And, you know, going to San Diego, of course, you were in New York last week, you know, with the Henzo crew, with Marcelo and his guys. And did this week in San Diego, but not forgetting that there's plenty of other places to go. So you're heading to Brazil later this month, right?
Yep, Brazil. That should be wild. Belo Horizonte, where
always a good time.
Felipe is. You know, just going to see how he's training out down there as well. Yeah, might go a couple other places maybe, and you know, just the ADCC camps are something different. And I think, man, talking to everybody, that's what it is. It's like these guys are so excited about ADCC, not because it's a big spectacle, or I'm sure that as well, but it really feels like these guys, especially, you know, who are at the highest level, they just love to grind. Like they love that like mental test. I think that above all, ADCC is like this mental test, right? Because it's like everybody's in shape. You know, sometimes these matches can go 40 minutes long. So it's like at the end of the match, it's just like who's not broken, right?
Yeah,
and I think I talked to a lot of guys about that like testing themselves in that way, having that mental test, and like, you know, even Gio, I was talking to Gio Martinez, and he was like, you know, I'm masochistic in that way. He's like, I like it. I want to have a 40-minute brawl. I want to have those crazy matches, you know, like.
Gio's funny, man. He's so laid back and chill, but he's an absolute animal.
He's a
He's
competitor.
so competitive.
He's a gamer,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
100%.
He says it, but you don't even really hear it when you listen to him talk about it. You just got to see him in the mode. Like, oh my God, he's fired up right now.
Yeah, I think that match that he had there against what's his name, Haysam
Rita.
Rita,
yeah, on Quintet,
and Quintet, where like that guy outweighs Gio by like 100 pounds or something crazy like that.
Not quite, maybe 60, but still.
He looks
there's a
like it.
big
That guy's
difference.
huge.
Yeah,
So
he is. He's like 6'4", 6'5", huge,
Gio tapped him.
guy.
That was a sick
Yeah.
match.
Yeah, even on Instagram, going back to ADCC, you can see everyone's like posting their camp footage and like getting hype for ADCC. There's no other event, even Worlds doesn't get that much pre-event like hype from the athletes themselves.
Not that
So,
far out, certainly,
yeah.
because I guess the event cycle doesn't really allow for it, right? Because if you think right now we're right around 8 weeks away from ADCC. If you go back like 8 weeks out from Worlds, you have a bunch of other tournaments like in that
got
time.
Pans.
You got you're just coming off Pans. You got Abu Dhabi World Pro. There's Brazilian Nationals and a bunch of other ones and stuff. So it's not like people can just throw everything to the wayside and just go, right, the next 2 months of my life is all about getting ready for this one moment. And that moment only comes around every 2 years. So I guess, you know, if there were other opportunities, you would just say, nah, ADCC is that, right? But kind of cool, because you just mentioned right there, like about how Josh is prepping for Kasai, which takes place in just over 2 weeks, August 17th in Atlantic City. Watch it live in FloGrappling if you didn't know.
Do it.
And he's got a really, really cool match, I feel. He's got a match with Mateus Denise.
It's a great match.
That's awesome, because they both qualified. Oh, excuse me. Mateus invited and Josh won trials, so he qualified for ADCC, and they're in the 88 kilogram division. And then there's another super fight on the same show, which is Yuri Samois versus Kainan Duarte, who are both in the over 99 kilogram division. So there's another 2 really significant super fights that potentially they've got big ramifications for ADCC, right?
Yeah, those are huge matches. Absolutely, Yuri versus Kainan, especially. I really like that one too.
Yeah, I mean, Total agreement. I do think it's interesting that these guys are even taking matches against one another when they're in the same bracket, like Josh and Mateus. I mean,
these aren't exactly warm-up matches.
They're not,
right?
exactly. They're really hard matches.
Yeah, JT and Wagner just last week, too.
77 kilogram fight to win. You know, both those guys have strong medal chances. You know, JT, the returning champion. So it's like we're getting an extended ADCC almost. We're getting some of the preview matches, you know, just being drip fed to us ahead of the event.
We just had we just had two super fights last weekend that were ADCC related, and we got another one this weekend because last weekend was JT versus Wagner, right? And Tex versus Spriggs. Tex versus Spriggs in different categories, but JT and Wagner are both in at 77. And then this weekend we got another super fight that's kind of about the 77 kilogram division. And that's Edwin versus DJ Jackson.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of interesting that they're not taking warm-up fights. It's not like, get me a guy that I can, tune up and just, like dust the cobwebs off or whatever before ADCC's coming around. It's like, no, I want to go against that guy who's in my bracket. That's quite a challenge.
Well, I think it's people always ask, or I think maybe I talked to Josh a little bit about this, right? It's like people always ask, how do I get better at jiu-jitsu, or how do I get better at competing? Compete. You have to compete. Like that's what's going to get you better at it.
It's not rocket science.
Yeah, right. You have. I mean, competing more gets you more comfortable. Gets you, in that headspace, in that mindset. And so I feel like that's maybe what they're doing a little bit, right? Is they're just making sure that they're ready mentally for the competitions, and
100%. And the Yuri Kainan match is kind of interesting because Kainan wasn't there when you were in Atos this week.
He wasn't there. He's still in Brazil. Yep.
Right.
But I hear he's coming soon.
And so is Yuri, or I think Yuri just wrapped up like what looks to be a pretty monster training camp down there because,
really?
I mean, again, going off social media and kind of seeing what people are doing and stuff, stalking them on the gram, and Yuri's been training pretty hard down there with some solid guys. It's interesting because Yuri, he's Brasa CTA, right? Kaioterra Association. But down in Brazil, he doesn't really have anybody from that network to train with. But he's got really close relationships with a lot of guys from GF Team and a few other places. So, for example, Victor Honorio, his family, his dad actually owns a jiu-jitsu gym, like not that far from where Yuri lives. So he was going down there, and they've got some big, strong guys to train with and stuff. And he was training with Patrick Gaudio before Gaudio just very recently, like in the last week or so, has actually just flown to Miami to do his training camp for ADCC with Cyborg. So, what I mean? It's like there's all these kind of like connections and stuff going on. But Yuri was he's been training pretty hard for this match with Kainan. So I'm kind of excited to see what that is because for people who don't know about Yuri as well, he's a two-time ADCC champion. In 2015, he won at 88 kilos. 2017, he won at 99 kilos. And this year, he's coming back, and he's actually going to be going up a division to potentially become the first person to ever hold 3 ADCC titles in 3 different divisions. I think that's awesome.
He's a monster. He does get a little bit overlooked, I feel, because he doesn't have a super strong social media presence. He just kind of grinds it out and wins medals. But he is an absolute monster, and I cannot wait to see him at Kasai, and of course ADCC is just gonna be insane.
Dude, that over 99 division is insane. It's crazy. Like that is I feel like in 2017 the division to watch was 88. I feel like maybe the division to watch this time is that over 99 because I know all divisions are sick. But like, man,
I'm saying 77.
77?
My 77 is the category that I'm most excited about.
Really, really stacked.
But you got Buchecha, Orlando, Yuri. Who else is in there?
Here you go.
Jared Dopp. Oh, yeah. Kainan, Joao Hosha.
Tex. Nick Rodriguez.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Joao Gabriel. And Shoeface, yeah.
Victor Hugo is in. Muhammad Ali.
That over 99 is crazy.
And interestingly as well, Joao Gabriel Hosha is back. Because the last time we saw him do ADCC was 2015. He missed 2017. I can't remember if he was sick or injured, but he couldn't make it for some reason. But he went through to the absolute semi-final, I think it was.
Was it to Keenan?
No, absolute semi-final. I think he lost to Calasanz. Or was it in the final? No, he took second. Took silver to Calasanz in the final of the absolute division. That's it. Yeah, he lost in his weight class to Vinny Magalhães by submission, and then took second in the absolute, which is crazy match because huge size difference between Joao Gabriel and Claudio Calasanz, right?
Yeah,
but
crazy.
Joao Gabriel, he showed earlier this year in that match with Gordon that he doesn't do that much no-gi, but when he does, shit, look
He
out.
can hang.
He really can, right? That was, I mean, that Kasai rules and stuff, with Gordon getting the point for the submission attack, but a lot of people, including Joao, felt that he came out that match the stronger, right?
Yeah, and I mean, Gordon did have a good entry on a leg lock at one point. I got him the winning score, but I mean, Joao got out of that. I was thinking, man, if Gordon gets in on the legs, it's kind of done.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
Joao,
they used to be a huge weakness of Joao's as well.
I think we wrote that in a preview article for that match where all of his submission losses at ADCC came from leg locks. I want
Correct.
to say.
Yeah.
So we thought that was an area of weakness. That might not have been shored up by gi training, but he clearly done some studying, done some homework, and got out of a bad spot.
Super disappointed to see that he wasn't at Worlds. He had to pull out kind of
that's heartbreaking.
last minute. Yeah, definitely heartbreaking. So hopefully we can see him come back this time around at this World Championships, and hopefully he'll have a good performance there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited for the 77 kilogram division. I gotta say, watching JT versus Wagner last week,
Dude, that was inspiring. I
Right?
did not think it would be such one-way traffic. I almost was going to lean towards Wagner's because he's been so consistent and winning
Yeah, he's
so many
competing a lot.
matches in no-gi.
Right.
And JT looked dominant.
yeah, I mean JT literally hadn't competed in a single no-gi match since the time that he won gold at ADCC nearly 2 years ago.
2 years ago, wow.
Yeah, and then comes back and goes up against one of the most consistent, one of the most prolific, and one of the most reliable no-gi competitors on the scene, and shuts him down. Absolutely shuts him down. Like, nobody does that to Wagner. Like, literally, when was the last time we saw Wagner, like, treated like that? And, JT just took him down with that lovely double leg, and then his top position, his top pressure, was he just didn't give Wagner an inch. He was just constantly stuck to him going forward. I remember listening to Keenan talk about this recently. He said that there are a few people who have as miserable and demoralizing ability to shut down guards as JT does.
We definitely saw it there. I mean, that
Yeah.
was impressive.
Yeah, it really was. And Wagner didn't have much to do. He was just basically in survival mode the entire time. Very nearly got his back taken. I got to say, the back take attempt was amazing, but the back escape, how Wagner managed to spin out of that in the last second, was also just freaking incredible. So that got me super pumped for ADCC, because when I saw that match, I was like, oh, this is kind of what we can expect. Oh, yes.
Let me ask you guys, I feel like speculate a little bit. We do the dream matchups. What's the one matchup that you're hoping to see most, or what's one matchup that you're like really?
I want to see JT Torres versus Nicky Ryan.
Wow.
Damn.
You know what? Nicky
Wow.
making a huge jump, going from 66 to 77. He does look bigger. I remember I didn't see him at trials in person, but you did, and you had pointed out to me that he would look huge.
Yeah.
But we're all kind of saying, man, that's like a giant jump in competition and like size and strength disparity now. Because Nicky's still a young man growing up, and these guys are grown jack dudes at 77 kilograms.
Yeah.
I want to see how he does. Let's see.
Absolutely.
That'd be a great match. That'd be a crazy match.
It's just a huge question mark over it, right? But
Plus, JT wouldn't be nice. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I will say, for
He's there to win.
as much of a showman and kind of a bastard that he can be sometimes, AJ was pretty nice to Nicky in their match at ADCC.
kind of was,
Yeah,
right?
I feel like I mean, Nicky was still
I
super
feel like
young.
Nicky was a little passive as well.
Yeah,
wasn't
I mean, the whole thing was a little bit, short notice, right? And they both were just they took a
first match.
yeah,
you know,
exactly. But I don't think JT would give him any quarter. So
my one of my dream matches, I gotta say, from the 77 kilogram division has got to be John Combs, who, as we know, is an absolute firecracker and won the West Coast trials here in the States, up against Renato Canuto.
Yeah.
ooh, yeah.
You imagine that no-gi? Oh, that's just got fireworks written all over it.
Yeah, I
Like,
love that Hanato is in that 77 division.
Yeah, me
There's
too.
so many wild cards in Hanato, especially is a real wild card in that division.
I just, because Hanato is one of those guys. He's always moving. He's so active, dangerous in so many different ways, and John is the kind of guy that just rare to see him have a bad match or boring match. He just comes out super hard all the time. And it's just like lays it all on the line. Kill or be killed. And it doesn't matter. He wants to go out in his shield. So I'm kind of excited to see how he would approach a match with Renato, because other guys, they might see John and think, okay, slow the match down, make it conservative, and kind of play that game. But Renato, he doesn't do that.
Yeah.
So.
And I think too, we're gonna see that match go off the mats. That match is gonna spill off the mats and onto the floor, and it's gonna go into the stands probably. And
man, I hate to derail this a little bit, but it's got the coolest comment. This guy Mark Gornal on our stream here says that he started training at 99 HQ after watching our Road to Worlds vlog.
Oh,
how rad is that?
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
What a great gym, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure he's having a great time out there.
Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah,
That's amazing feedback.
That
That's
is super
dope.
cool. Mark, man, I hope you're enjoying training there. But
Yeah, that's good.
Those guys are awesome.
I saw Fat
Ricardo
Ninja
Tellez and
competed
those guys.
out in Japan last weekend, and he won.
Yes, he did. Igor Tanabe. Yeah, man, he's making some waves at brown belt, right? He's doing good.
Yeah.
Doing
Have
really
you
good.
seen him doing the lapel stuff and
Yes,
everything, right?
yeah,
He's
it's
tricky.
all over the gram these days. I
Yeah.
love watching everyone getting creative. I don't know how you say her last name, but Margot, everyone calls her Mars from Unity, did this really cool cross lapel squid guard thing. So instead of taking like the near side lapel and doing the squid guard, feed it across the stomach, and you can set up like a cool arm bar. I believe they call it the Mars bar.
Mars
But
bar.
people are just taking it to another
Mars
dimension.
bar, because Margot, she's I think she's got dual nationality, but I think she was born and raised in Hong Kong, but I know she definitely has like Italian a name in there as well. But she spent a lot of time in the UK too, I believe. A Mars bar is a candy bar from the UK, right? I think they have it here too.
They have it
Yeah.
here.
Okay, there you go. All right, okay, I wasn't sure, but that's a cool name. I like that.
Yeah, that's funny.
Speaking of Road to Worlds, I guess this is kind of plays in perfectly to the title of this week's show, which is Tales from the Road, because we were mentioning earlier about how we all travel a lot and how we've all traveled all over the world covering jiu-jitsu. I think I've been to let me see. I've been to Europe, Asia, North America, South America. The only places I haven't been is Australia or Africa to cover jiu-jitsu, but
Canada.
I've never been to Canada. It's true, yeah, but North
See
America.
Uncle Ricky one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think you guys can all say the same. You've all been to the same places,
Pretty
right?
much, yeah.
North America, South America, Europe, Asia. So on all those trips, people see the news, people see the results, people see the matches, people see the live stream. But there's a huge element to kind of life on the road, to going to these jiu-jitsu events and trips and stuff that people don't see, right? And that is sometimes best not to be discussed in public because, is off the record means off the record. And, there's a lot of stuff that I'm sure athletes would appreciate that we keep to ourselves, right? And probably appreciate that they keep some stuff about us to themselves as well. So
Definitely
Why are you
Chase.
both looking at me?
But that said, there are a lot of really cool stories, if any, that I could say about sort of what goes on around these trips that maybe people just, they don't get to see. And it's the kind of stuff you think, oh, I want to write a book about that someday. Why not talk about them? And I figured that a good kind of way to kick things off this discussion would be, what is one time that you took a taxi ride or a bus ride or something like to from a venue somewhere, whatever, with a well-known famous grappler? And what was that situation, and what did you get from that? Who wants to kick off?
We almost died one time driving with AJ Hagazarm.
Oh, that's right. After Worlds. Yeah, don't let that man behind
If
the
you've
wheel.
ever seen AJ drive a car, oh my
Yeah.
God.
That was
Nail
He's a
biter.
Psycho.
That was a mistake.
I wasn't in that car ride, I have to say, but I've seen him behind the wheel of another car, and I was in a car following AJ driving a car, and I legit was waiting for him to crash into somebody or to cause an accident. The guy is a freaking maniac.
Yeah.
We did get
You were in the
downtown
car.
very fast,
You were in the car with him?
Yeah, we were down
he
Long Beach.
Hell
He dragged
no.
us out one night. He's good friends with an old coworker that used to be here, Nick V. And they were going to hit the town. Reed and I were dead, man. We had been on the road, straight from Road to Worlds through the tournament. And so we were like, let's just chill.
Yeah.
But they burst into our hotel room and said, come on, let's go out. And so we're like, okay, fine.
And AJ doesn't take no for an answer.
And-
I was like, absolutely
Shocking.
not. I'm not going out. I was like, I'm going to bed. And then I ended up going out. So,
But we made it back. It was an interesting night. It was fun.
yep.
Let's see.
Yeah, you got some good stories though,
Yeah,
I bet, right?
we definitely have some fun ones. I think the one that's pretty unique, because most people would imagine this to be really awkward, but was actually pretty fun, was I got a ride with both Paulo and Joao Miao from Abu Dhabi airport to the hotel, which is like a 30-minute ride. So whenever you fly these big international trips, especially someone that's somewhat remote, a lot of people are on the same flights. You connect at some major hub and you end up at the same destination. So there's a bunch of jiu-jitsu guys on my flight. And I never really actually spent that much time with Paulo and Joao because when they're at tournaments, they're definitely guys that do not want to chat.
Oh, yeah. Very much in the zone, not approachable.
But they're actually super chill. They're really, really nice and happy to talk and friendly when they're not competing. And so when I saw them at the terminal, I say hi, and we start trying to figure out if we want to exchange some money, like, if we want to do it at the airport or not. I'm like, oh, you guys want to get a cab? Like, we'll, save some money. And so, I rode into town with those guys and chatted away, set up a training session the next morning, and got some great footage with them. So, but yeah, super personable. I had no idea what to expect. I
First time you'd ever had a conversation with them?
Yeah, what did you guys talk about?
Just training stuff, I guess, jiu-jitsu. I mean, for anyone that's meeting a jiu-jitsu athlete and doesn't know where to start, that's a good place.
Can't go wrong with that.
That's a good place to start.
Who they wanted to see in the tournament. At the same time, though, I didn't want to make it feel like an interview, so I just asked them, what they were thinking about. So, yeah, it was fun.
Nice. What comes to mind for me, I remember, I think I've told this story before too, but one time when we shot the Danner and Death Squad documentary, I stayed the night at Gary's, and we drove from Brunswick into the city, and we drove with Gordon. And I'm not sure if you guys have heard the stories about Gordon as well, being an absolute maniac driver, but he's from Jersey. So those stories are I can confirm are very, very true as well. He is he likes to go fast, and he has no patience for slow cars. But that was an experience too. White knuckling the whole way up to.
How long is the journey from Brunswick to the city?
Well, it's just there's a lot of traffic too, of course, and I don't know. I think it was because we drove into Newark. We actually didn't drive straight into the city. We drove into Newark and then took the train from Newark into Penn Station, right there.
So door to door, how long roughly?
Yeah, it's probably 2 hours.
What?
Door to door, somewhere around there.
And that's a daily commute.
That's daily.
Those guys did have a crazy routine.
That's crazy,
Gary
right?
and Nikki still do, right?
Yep.
Gordon's in the city, but
See why Gordon moved to the city. Jeez.
Yeah, you got to do that for sure.
What about you, Hal? Anything come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, I've taken a couple of really cool rides. Like, one time when I arrived in Finland, landed in Helsinki airport, and I'm just there, waiting for my bags to come out, and walks off the same plane as me. I didn't even realize, but oh, hey Shanji, how's it going? And of course, where we were all staying in Espoo, which is like a neighboring town just outside of Helsinki. We're all super close to each other, so I was like, oh hey, just, jump in with me. My cab is right here. I already called an Uber or whatever, and so come on. And I met Shanji like a bunch of times, but it's different when you're in a car, right? Because whether it's at a tournament or you go to somebody's gym, the general atmosphere is a lot different. When you're in a car, you got nothing to do except just sit down and chat.
Well, you're stuck there too.
You're stuck there. There's no escaping.
And move on. You got to kind of keep it going.
Yeah, and it's often a little bit more. I want to say intimate. Maybe not. Yeah, I guess it's the right word because it's
intimate with Shanji in a cab. That's what I'm hearing.
No, but it's a lot more personal. So you talk to each other, on a much more personal level rather than business. Okay, it's business right now, which is often the case for us because we are working. When we're at an event or when we visit a gym, we are in work mode. And we're friendly because why wouldn't we be? But we don't really have the ability to just sit down and shoot the shit like you would on a normal basis. So it was kind of cool. And, Shanji opened up on some really cool stuff to me about, his thoughts and feelings about ADCC and, matches that he'd love to roll back and do again. And guys that,
all 46 of them.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. And that was a point of pride that, he mentioned to me on that cab ride in that day. And I had no idea that he was the person with the most number of ADCC matches, combined weight and absolute. So it's information like that comes up in these conversations are super cool. But I mean, that's one example, but I've shared cabs all over the world, like with the Vikings driving around Sao Paulo when we were there for Copa Podio. I was sharing a car with Tommy Langacker and Espen Mathisen. That one stands out because I was like an hour stuck in traffic, so you got nothing to do but talk. But one of the coolest times was me and you, Reed, actually. It was when our first year that we ever went to Abu Dhabi for the World Pro. And we went to the award ceremony, right? Mm-hmm. And, after the World Pro is over, they have this huge beautiful gala, like awards, show presentation. It's a sit down silver service, like 5-course meal. Everybody's on suits and stuff, and they hand out like the end of season awards and stuff. And
I was not invited. Also, I was not invited to this
crash the party.
to this
that is
award.
true. You
award
weren't
show.
on the guest list. We
yeah.
pretended you were someone else.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
And it was like it's like pretty strict. It was like pretty strict and like
super strict.
And I didn't have a suit, so I had to borrow Phil's suit. Phil, another guy that we work with, who came over, and so I had to borrow Phil's suit because I didn't bring a suit. And then I wasn't invited either, and so I'm trying to get on the bus, and they're like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "Reed," and they're like, "No, get out of here, buddy." And then I went back, and they're like, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm actually, I think maybe."
You said you were Josh Halvatzis.
Oh, okay, is that what I did? Yeah.
Because Josh is a guy from the UK who's a filmmaker.
Yeah, that's totally what I did.
Runs Grapple Club, right?
Yeah.
And
he must have not been there, or.
Yeah, he was on the
seat.
Exactly. He was on the list, but he ended up not going. And I remember when you were kind of like looking over the list as they were like looking through you.
And I was like, that's me right there. That's
me. They did not believe you either. You were like, I guess you don't look like a Halvatzis.
Yeah.
You definitely look more like a Connell.
Yeah, and I had a suit that was like a little too big for me too. Like I was like who the heck is this guy?
So that was funny. That was hilarious. But that bus ride in, because it was like a minibus, right? And there were a bunch of us, and I'd planned to go because I was on the guest list. I'm like you. I'd planned to go. I brought my suit, but there were a couple of guys on the bus with us who had no idea they were going until the event, until like that day. 2 guys, one of them, Adam Wardzinski, and the other, a brown belt, Nicholas Marigali.
Nice.
And this is
Didn't
funny.
Tommy Longacker go this time in like jeans and a t-shirt
He did.
to this same event?
He
That's awesome.
It's a black tie event. It's black tie, and he turns up in jeans and shit
He was
t-shirts.
just chilling. I was
Yeah.
on Instagram, hanging out, shooting shit, like not a
everybody-
care in the world.
Everybody else in tuxedos and
This
stuff.
is also in a 7-star hotel. It's insane. It's like a palace, right? You walk in, it's like, oh my god.
the red carpet. Yeah, everybody, they had the photo line for everybody, all the athletes to go down, right?
But it was so cool because that's the first time I actually met Marigali and spoke to him. Was on that bus ride, and back then he didn't speak a lick of English.
Yeah.
And he told me that he'd literally, because he'd won the brown belt absolute. It's back when they still had the absolute division,
last
right?
year.
And he actually won the absolute, so he got a bunch of prize money. And he went out that day to the local mall and bought a suit. He didn't bring one. He didn't have no idea that he was going to
I
be
should have
invited
asked
to
him
this
to
thing.
pick me up a suit. Yeah.
You know who he fought in the final of that? Can you remember who he fought in the final of the absolute division?
No.
Hudson.
Oh, Hudson. Okay.
And you know who beat? And you know what the 3rd place match was? The brown belt absolute that year. Tommy Langacker versus Craig Jones.
Boom.
Exactly. Yeah. How crazy is that?
I do remember Craig competing in the gi that year.
Yep.
It's not that long ago, man.
I feel like
That was
like the
2016.
I feel like that was the last time Craig competed in the gi. Like,
It could be actually, yeah.
yeah.
Actually, no, I think he did something small in Australia after that, but
Gotcha.
nothing of any note. But how crazy is that? That's not even 3.5 years ago, and almost like a different world.
Yeah,
different
no,
landscape.
I remember that super well, and I made a little video with Marigali that day, and that was kind of my first time getting to know Marigali a little bit more too. And of course, Marigali's always been like an intense competitor, not quite as intense, I feel like, as he is now, but always been an intense competitor. But on this bus ride, you would never know. Like, I remember kind of hanging out with him a little bit and talking to him. I interviewed him a couple times, and he of course had the championship belt with him, and just the most quiet, soft-spoken,
a little bit shy almost,
gentle,
right? Yeah.
shy guy. Like, just had this presence, And was by himself. I'm not sure really he had any other people from his team with him, so he was kind of shy, a little bit, reserved, and it's just like night and day to his competitor persona. Like, it was just crazy.
I saw that too in Amsterdam, actually, because he came and taught. They had a seminar series there I went to called Royal Camp. They did one this year as well. It was really cool. But that year, the kind of theme was European instructors. At the last minute, it was just by coincidence that Marigali was doing a European seminar tour, and like, hey, come in on Sunday, come in the last day and do a class. And so he jumped on it, and when he walked in the room, it was the second session of the day, and all the European guys were hanging out, all the black belts. And you could see Marigali was kind of like over there in the corner. He had just won like the world championship 3 weeks earlier. You'd think this guy would be like strutting in, I'm the
Not
shit,
at all,
right?
right?
Not at all. He's
No.
very low key, very nice. And he actually started chatting to me right away because we had met a few times through working together. So it's like, man, you are so humble and relaxed
Chill guy.
right now. You're not trying to kill anybody.
That was his breakout year as well. Remember, because he won double gold at Pans in 2016. He won World Pro. He won double gold at Worlds, brown belt, and then remember that he went and he competed in Copa Podio in Argentina. That was that summer. That was 2016, and we all went down to Buenos Aires.
Yeah, this was brown belt you're talking about?
I was talking about black belt.
Oh no, but I'm going back a little bit now. 2016 was his breakout year. Sorry.
Yeah.
Remember that he went down to Buenos Aires and he competed in the Copa Podio middleweight Grand Prix as a brown belt. And remember, he had he had that crazy match with Leandro, and then he had lost to Urbeth by submission and stuff. But beat Dylan Dennis, exactly.
Dylan as a brown belt.
Yeah, kind of crazy times. Like I say, it feels like a lifetime.
Yeah, Buenos
ago,
Aires, another great
I wish we
trip.
could get back down there. That place is beautiful.
Yeah, Buenos Aires was a highlight for
A lot of
sure.
steak and wine.
Yeah, and that tournament was cool, and just like the way that whole thing unfolded.
What a sketchy tournament, though. Like, we didn't have a venue the day of. At lunchtime, the venue that had been booked by Copa Podio was denied. There was there was a permit issue, right?
No, it wasn't even. They just straight around turned around and said, we don't want to do it. And it was crazy because I remember talking to the organizer, Jefferson, the guy who actually runs Copa Podio, and he was just sat there and he's like, I have a contract. And they just said no. Like, day of.
Something about it being a jiu-jitsu event or something,
I
right?
guess. Maybe they thought it was like a fight, like an MMA fight or something. And he's like, he even asked, he's like, hey, do you want a bribe or something? Are you trying to like extort me for money? And they were like,
because I'll
no.
pay you.
Yeah. He was prepared to do that.
Yeah.
He really was. He's like, whatever I need to do to make this show happen. We're like less than 24 hours out. And apparently they were just like, no. They just hard no. And they managed to rustle up this crazy
You'd never know it, right?
venue right to the last second.
Yeah, we were scrambling for sure.
Yeah.
Everyone was a little bit nervous, but what was it, like a playhouse or?
They'd have a kind of a strange vibe to it, right? It was kind of like
like
an
church.
old school dance hall with a
Yeah.
stage and stuff, and like an upper balcony. I don't know. It was interesting.
It worked out perfect.
Yeah,
Like,
it looks great.
Yeah, it was freaking.
But man, we were just sitting there on our hands, like, all right, we'll see if we get some work done this weekend, I guess.
Yeah.
In Buenos
Otherwise, we're just hanging out in Buenos Aires.
I remember so many crazy things from that particular trip, the Argentina trip. From like, Dylan Dennis being there, the Vikings were there, John Combs was there, and we all had very
it was legendary.
It really was, and it was all very, very. The experiences of all of us were very, very different. I remember like Dylan complaining because he said he couldn't get a good meal anywhere, and the pizza was really shitty because he's used to New York pizza, and I know while we were having like steak and wine 3 times a day, it was like some of the best food we have ever eaten in our lives.
It's not my fault Dylan has a diet of like a 14-year-old. It's like expand past pizza and you're in a very good place to eat.
Oh man, it was unreal. Some of the best food. Literally, I went back to Buenos Aires, I think a year later on vacation, like a city break with my wife. And I was just so excited about the food. Like, I didn't really care about going anywhere. She was like, oh, let's go here. Let's go look at this. And I'm like, listen.
What is there to eat?
I just want steak. City Crowd is the best in the world. Really. My God.
I want to tell this story because I didn't get to tell it last time, but it's kind of a funny story. We're talking about tales from the road. But Finland, ADCC 2017, another absolutely legendary tournament, another absolutely legendary
I think every
trip.
time you mention Tales from the Road, ADCC 2017, Chase gets nervous.
No. I have no shame in that trip.
No, that
Don't
was,
you dare that.
that he can remember. No.
But a look always passes over his face like, what story are you going to tell?
So we went out afterwards.
Conspiracy against me over here.
I'm not sure where you were. 'Cause you didn't come with me to this gym, right? Or you maybe left.
Is this the day after the
I think
after party?
it's the day after the after party.
Yeah, that's where I was.
So I ended up. We were talking to some of the Finnish guys who were locals there and stuff like that, and I wanted to train. And so he told me a gym to go to. And I was like, perfect. He told me like, yeah, the class is at noon or whatever. Go to this gym. And I was like, all right, cool. So I went out with Tony and Oren. You guys know both those guys, right?
That used to work for Flo, both of them.
Both of them used to work with us. Oren, more of a wrestler. He wrestled, but Tony is a jiu-jitsu guy. And so we went out there, and we got to this gym, and I guess the class at noon was not the class. There wasn't a class at noon. So like I showed up. We showed up, and they're like, I had like my gi and everything like that, and they're like, oh no, the gi class is at 2 or whatever. And so I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, but we have this MMA class going on. You're welcome to do that. And so we were all like, yeah, you want to do this MMA class? Or like, and we were like, all right, sure. And so like, I got all my no-gi stuff on, right? And I walk onto the mat. And there's only a couple Finnish guys there, you know. And I walk onto the mat, and this huge dude, huge MMA fighter dude, comes up immediately to me, and he's just like, let's roll. And I turn behind me to see Tony and Oren, and they're nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found.
On your own, buddy.
Yeah. They're like,
good luck.
Yeah. They were like literally like, yeah, we like walked out of the dressing room and saw this huge, jacked Finnish dude and went back into the dressing room. And I was like, yeah, you guys.
Until he left.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, you guys left me out there all alone. But yeah, he immediately started.
They don't get too many visitors there, probably.
Exactly. So like, I felt like I walked onto the mats, and I felt like everybody was like licking their chops, like looking at me, you know, like they're like, oh, a new guy in the MMA class, right? There's probably like 3 guys in this MMA class that were just like killing each other. But I ended up rolling with this guy two rounds, probably like, I don't know, 6-minute rounds, 5-minute rounds or whatever. I ended up rolling back to back because I rolled him the first time, and then he did that thing where he was like, let's roll again. And I was like, okay. But man, this guy was, and I've talked about this before, that like I feel like this is a good thing to do, is to go to different gyms, right, and
Absolutely.
roll, you know, and you have experiences like this, but these experiences I think ultimately are pretty good for your jiu-jitsu. But man, he was just a classic MMA fighter type of guy, and we started rolling, and you know, immediately he's just like clubbing my head, and I pulled guard, and then he immediately is can openering me, and it was just like one of those rolls where I was just like, oh my goodness, like I am in a fight here.
It is.
You know?
It's not a roll, it's a fight.
Yeah, like he was coming after me, and like I'm cold. I had like just walked onto the mat.
God.
We had went out the night before. I was like, you know, pretty late the night before, and it was like the most unideal circumstances.
I'm so glad I didn't go to that gym.
Yeah, for real.
I would have not made it home.
For real. And then I ended up rolling. So we're rolling, and he's just like so physical with me, you know. But I eventually managed to take his back, you know. And then I'm just like sitting there. I'm just sitting there, and he's defending his neck, and I'm like, I'm not even gonna go for your neck, dude. I'm just
right where I want to be.
Yeah. I'm just sitting there. But the craziest part of the story is while I'm sitting there on his back, I noticed, you know, he's a Finnish guy, and I don't know if I'm outing him or whatever, but he, across his knuckles, he had skinhead tattooed across his knuckles, and like it was a crazy moment where I was like, man, this guy is super intense, and he was like clubbing me, coming after me, and he was covered in tattoos, and when I had his back, I looked, and
you're like reading the tattoos, and you're sitting there like, oh my God.
I was like, what the heck did I just get myself
realization kind of kicks in. It's like, oh wow, yeah.
So that was a crazy experience.
So, you know, there are various kinds of skinheads out there, and they're not all what people think, you know. Do you think he was just like a reggae fan? Because, you know, there used to be a culture of like skinheads who are just really into reggae.
Is it really?
Yeah. In the UK, it's a thing.
It's a thing.
Maybe.
It's a European thing, I guess. But
gotcha. Maybe that was it. But
you don't think he was a Bob Marley fan?
I don't know.
He didn't give that energy off.
Give him the benefit of the doubt, I guess. But he was covered in tattoos, and yeah, that was one of my more crazy roles that I had at these events. That was a wild one, anyway. I feel like I wanted to tell that story because that was a wild.
No one's beat my ass more than the juvenile color belts at AOJ.
Yeah.
Because I'll drop in there a few times a year when I see my family, and they all know the Flow guys.
Oh,
they all want to make a little name, make a little impression, and they have.
Yeah.
All of them have left a mark on my soul.
You remember their names?
Oh yeah. They're really talented kids. They all want to go pro. They train all day long. A lot of them are homeschooled, and that's what they do. And my God, they're good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I always tell people always ask me, oh, I want to go train at AOJ. Right, the gym looks so nice. And I'm like, yeah, man, you go train at AOJ. Be prepared to get spanked by some green belts. Like, you know, like That'll happen, no matter how big you are.
Wow. I remember a really cool story of dropping into a gym, actually. It was January 2016. It was that epic Copa Polio lightweight Grand Prix that you came down to Rio for. And it was like the night or 2 nights before. I guess it was the Thursday night before the show, which was on the Saturday. And a couple of guys wanted to roll, They wanted to, kind of help them start losing some weight for the weight cut. And the weigh-in was the next day. So it was the first series of matches in that whole the Vikings versus series, right? And they had the Vikings versus the Portuguese name for the team was the Cabras da Peste, and it literally meant kind of like roughnecks. It's kind of like the tough guys from a certain region in Brazil, kind of like redneck style kind of dudes.
Cowboys.
And not cowboys as such, no, just more like just roughneck kind of dudes, but from like a desert-ish kind of region. But you had you had Espen, Tommy, Ida, remember? And she was competing.
Where did Ida go, huh?
She just had a baby.
Oh, did she? Really?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Real life, yeah, congrats. She kind of had some connects because she'd been to Rio before, so she'd arranged for training at this gym, very small gym I'd never heard of in Botafogo, and it was those three plus Dylan, because Dylan was competing in the lightweight Grand Prix that time. That's the year that he did the lightweight Grand Prix in January, and then competed in the middleweight one. And that lightweight Grand Prix, he went through the third place match. Remember, he dislocated his arm, his elbow against Diego Borges in the third place match. But imagine. Random gym in Brazil, just a bunch of guys turning up for their Thursday night training class like usual, and every gym in Brazil is usually pretty deep. You've usually just got like a big line of black belts who just go in to train, and they just just line the wall and stuff, and in walks 4 very, very gringo decent grapplers like Tommy, Espen and Ida. I think they were all still brown belts at the time. Dylan was a black belt, and they walk in, and of course what happens when 3 or 4 guys like that walk into your gym is like you throw everybody at them, right? And oh my word, because they were kind of looking at me in between rounds, and they're like, God damn it, I only wanted to cut some weight, and now I gotta have to beat these guys up. It's like they're throwing everybody at me, and they tore through the room. But that'd be fun to watch. So cool.
Yeah.
I have some videos of it. On the site.
That's the one that Dylan had the ketchup and mustard gi, right?
For some reason, Dylan, who has more show-year-old gis than almost anybody in the world, probably only Spencer Pratt in his 200-plus show-year-old gi collection has more gis, right? But Dylan, for some reason, didn't have a gi to train in. And he, borrowed a red gi jacket and some yellow gi pants from just random people in the gym. It's the worst color combo you've ever seen in your life.
I've never seen that gi
ever again.
Number 1, I've never met anybody who owns a red gi. Number 2, I've never met anybody who owns a yellow gi.
Victor Doria owns a red gi.
Yeah, the Cyborg fight sports guys love the red gi.
Do they?
They're the only people that get away with it, though.
Yeah,
because you wouldn't make fun of them for it.
Somehow it looks good. I don't know.
They rock it?
They rock it.
Yeah, the red's kind of a central theme to the Fight Sports logo as well, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
they rock it.
It doesn't fit me the same way.
No, definitely not. But my word, man, it was the ugliest combo gi that I ever had. But I'll put the link in the live comments, and I'll fire it up. Rolling in Rio was the title of the video. Dylan Dennis, yeah.
Yep, man.
Found it.
Traveling is fun, right? It's a good time. It's sometimes can be a lot. Those airports are brutal, but
it's not as glamorous as people think. That's for sure.
Yeah, and man, I feel like everybody keeps telling me that I look bigger and jacked, and that's just because I've just been on the road and just eating cheeseburgers for the last year, That's
hey Reed, you've been looking super big lately. Thanks, it's just a hot buddy.
Yeah, for real.
Just got back from Five Guys, In and Out.
In and Out was the only thing open last night, so I had it for the 3rd time this week. And so sometimes, like you said, it can be less glamorous than
what was
some
it you
people
called
think.
the Road to Worlds this year?
The road to gout.
Yeah, well, it was like one Road to Worlds. Chase and I, like, just like every night ate at a Buffalo Wild Wings.
God. I haven't eaten at Buffalo Wild Wings since that trip.
Because it was just like the only thing we could find, you know. And
Every corner there's a Buffalo Wild Wings. We're like, oh God,
Yeah.
here we go.
No more, please, no more.
and then the last Road to Worlds, we hit up In-N-Out quite a few times in California. So
Favorite burger place?
In-N-Out burger, but not the fries, man. Fries are whack there.
Good shout. Fries out In-N-Out do suck so bad.
There's actually a local place, Easy Takeout in Costa Mesa. It's like the best combination, dude. The fries, amazing.
Oh yeah?
Otherworldly burger, close to In-N-Out quality. You should go there.
Oh man, next time we hit up Pans or head down to Costa Mesa, you have to.
It is a
take us
gut
by.
bomb though. That thing will put you down.
Reed, number one.
I don't know. I mean, In-N-Out is good, but I'm gonna go with Whataburger.
Oh, I gotta say, obviously since moving to Texas last year, I had to check out the famous local, right, which is Whataburger, and I was not disappointed. That is pretty damn good. But
It's a regional thing, right? It's like
is.
all the New York guys love Five Guys, all the West Coast guys love In-N-Out.
I didn't like the fries in Five Guys either. They just give you like a gigantic bag of potatoes.
dump them in there.
Slices, yeah.
Yeah, like just chopped potatoes. It's not good. But I know, I get it. It's super overpriced and you know, just kind of hipsterish and stuff. But I do think it's hard to top Shake Shack burgers. Those burgers
They
are
are delicious.
really,
Shake Shack's
really good, right?
Shake Shack is good.
Getting
Anyhow,
hungry
Cheese.
now.
the
Oh,
cheese,
man.
the cheese
great.
on the burger.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
Should we go get some cheeseburgers?
Yeah, might as well, right?
Yeah,
That's a great
Get some
segue.
It's
cheeseburgers,
lunchtime.
then train some jiu-jitsu. It's like the perfect combination.
Maybe, maybe not. Guys, on that bombshell, we'll leave you. Drop your favorite cheeseburger, rank your burgers in the comments. But guys, I think we'll cap it here this week.
We'll call it.
We'll call it. Called. Show called. See you guys in the next one.